The void of space was silent. Not the kind of silence found in a tranquil meadow, but an eerie, oppressive stillness, the kind that precedes something cataclysmic. The Harkon Dominion's war fleet, 500 ships strong, hung in the void, their sleek, predatory forms poised for conquest. This was supposed to be a routine annihilation. Another nameless colony, another world to be erased from the map of history. Admiral Vorzek stood on the bridge of his dreadnought, the Havoc's maw watching the planet below. A beautiful blue-green orb teeming with primitive life. It disgusted him. The weak had no place in the Dominion's future. "Prepare the plasma lances," he growled, his 6 crimson eyes narrowing. "Purge the surface." The order rippled through the fleet, and the warships turned their titanic weapons toward the helpless world below. Before the first shot could be fired, something changed. The darkness of space twisted. A ripple. A distortion. And then, impossible. A ship appeared. It was massive, far larger than any vessel in the Harkon fleet, and yet no known empire had ever fielded such a design. Its hull was dark, broken by veins of glowing light that pulsed like the heartbeat of a sleeping titan. Strange, angular markings ran along its surface, symbols that defied translation. The ship exuded age, yet its presence felt inevitable, as if the universe had been waiting for it. Admiral Vorzek felt his blood chill. "Impossible," he muttered. "No ship can move like that. No ship can appear from nowhere." Yet it had. Then it spoke. A deep, reverberating voice echoed through every Harkon vessel. It bypassed comms security, ignored encryption, and commanded attention. "Your war ends here." Silence gripped the bridge. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Who was this? What was this? Then the warship moved. It didn't engage conventional thrusters. It simply shifted as though reality bent around it. One moment it was there, the next it was behind the fleet, its weapons beginning to glow with an unnatural light. The Harkon fleet panicked. "Fire everything!" Vorzek roared. The void erupted with plasma bolts, kinetic slugs, and nuclear payloads, a storm of devastation that should have erased the warship from existence. But the ship did not evade. It did not deploy shields. It simply absorbed the barrage. The weapon's fire vanished into the darkness of its hull. No explosion. No resistance. As if the warship had swallowed the attack whole. And then it answered. A single lance of light erupted from its core, not a weapon but judgment itself. It sliced through the first Harkon destroyer, erasing it from existence. No debris. No wreckage. Just gone. The fleet hesitated. The warship moved again, appearing at the heart of their formation. Impossible speeds. Immeasurable power. Another ship was consumed, then another. Retreat. Admiral Vorzek's voice cracked. The Harkon Dominion did not retreat, they conquered. But this thing was not something that could be fought. It was something beyond them. But it was too late. The warship unleashed its full fury. Light erupted in all directions, arcs of impossible energy tearing through the fleet. Ships blinked out of existence, whole legions of warships vanishing like dust in a storm. Vorzek fell to his knees. "This isn't war," he whispered. "This was something else." And then the voice returned. "The galaxy has forgotten balance. You will remind them." The Admiral felt something seize his mind, a force greater than anything he had ever known. It did not speak with words but with absolute truth. Visions flooded his mind. A past he could not comprehend. A war before time. Then silence. The mysterious warship was gone. And the Harkon fleet? Erased. Only Vorzek remained, adrift in the void, trembling. And somewhere, in the depths of space, the warship continued its journey. Because this was only the beginning. The fate of the galaxy had already changed. Admiral Vorzek drifted in the cold void, his war fleet gone. Not destroyed, not shattered, but simply erased. He had faced countless battles, annihilated entire species, and burned worlds to ashes in the name of the Harkon Dominion. But now, for the first time in his existence, he felt fear. The warship that had appeared, it wasn't just a vessel. It was something else, something beyond comprehension. It had spoken into his mind, shown him visions that clawed at his sanity. The weight of its presence still lingered in his bones. He reached for the emergency distress beacon on his suit, his 6-fingered hand trembling. They needed to know. The Dominion had to be warned. The moment his beacon activated, a pulse of energy crackled in the void, and within minutes, a new fleet arrived. 120 warships, reinforcements from the Dominion's high command. Their arrival should have reassured him, should have restored his shattered confidence. But as the flagship Oblivion's claw moved into formation, Vorzek felt nothing but dread. His communicator crackled. "Admiral Vorzek," came the voice of High Warlord Kareth, his superior, his executioner if things went badly. "Your entire fleet is gone." "Explain." Vorzek tried to find the words. "It was a warship. Unlike anything we've ever seen." A silence. Then a scoff. "One warship," Kareth repeated. "One warship did this?" Vorzek clenched his jaw. "You don't understand. We fired everything. We hit it with every weapon in our arsenal and it absorbed the attack. Then it moved like a phantom, erased my ships as if they never existed." More silence. Then Kareth's voice turned sharp. "You expect me to believe this?" "It spoke to me," Vorzek continued, voice shaking. "It was ancient. I don't think it belongs to any known empire. It's something older." Kareth growled. "Enough. We will investigate." The fleet adjusted its course, weapons primed, sensors scanning the void where Vorzek's armada had once stood. For long, agonizing minutes there was nothing. Just empty space. Then the lights on the command consoles flickered. The void shifted. And the warship returned. A presence that cannot be fought. The Dominion fleet, a force powerful enough to conquer entire systems, reacted with trained precision. Hundreds of targeting systems locked onto the massive vessel, plasma lances primed to fire. Kareth smirked. "There it is. Fire everything." The void erupted. Missiles streaked toward the ship. Plasma cannons howled, railguns spat hypervelocity rounds, and dark matter torpedoes surged forward with the force of dying stars. And once again, the warship did not evade. It did not activate shields. It simply let the attacks vanish into its dark hull. The weapon's fire disappeared as if it had been swallowed whole. The Dominion fleet hesitated. Kareth's smirk disappeared. "Impossible," he muttered. And then, without warning, the warship moved. It blinked from one side of the fleet to the other, defying all known physics. Entire sections of the Dominion fleet ceased to exist. No explosion. No debris. Just nothingness where warships had once been. Panic took hold. "Fall back. Fall back." But it was already too late. The warship spoke again, but this time it was not just words. It was a force that pushed into their minds, overwhelming their thoughts with images. Visions of a war before history. A conflict beyond time. Vorzek saw it clearly. A great war eons ago. A galactic struggle that had wiped entire civilizations from existence. And at the heart of it, the warship. Not a ship. A relic of that war. A weapon that had been sealed away, until now. And it was awake once more. The visions faded. Reality returned. And the warship's voice whispered into their very souls. "You are not worthy to wield destruction." Light flared from its core. And the fleet vanished. All but Vorzek and his failing escape pod, drifting once more. The warship did not chase him. It had no need to. It was already moving toward its true purpose. The Dominion was only the beginning. And the galaxy would never be the same. The Dominion was in chaos. High Warlord Kareth's fleet was gone, wiped from existence like it had never been. Only Admiral Vorzek remained, drifting, broken, the sole witness to a power beyond comprehension. His escape pod tumbled through space, silent except for the weak hum of failing life support. And the warship was already moving. Not toward another Dominion fleet, nor a world to conquer. No, it had a destination, an objective far greater than petty empires. It was going home. The last black fortress. On the edge of the galaxy, past the boundaries of any known star charts, there was a place no species dared to go. A dead system marked only as Sector 0 Alpha, whispered about in fearful myths. There, orbiting the remains of a shattered star, was the last black fortress. A station of impossible scale. Its jagged spires stretched for miles, forming an obsidian colossus against the void. It was ancient, older than the Dominion, older than the Council of Worlds. And inside something waited. Something that had not stirred for millennia. As the warship neared, the station's dormant systems flickered to life. A deep, mechanical voice rumbled through the empty halls. Command signal accepted. The Forgotten Guardian. Deep inside the fortress, encased in a chamber of black steel, a figure awoke. It was human, or at least it had been once. Its body was wrapped in dark armor, not crafted, but grown around it like a second skin. Blue energy pulsed through veins of circuitry. Eyes opened, glowing like burning stars. For the first time in 50,000 years, the last guardian of the warship breathed. Memories flooded back. A war against an impossible enemy. A desperate final stand. And the warship, his warship, cast into the void, waiting for the moment it would be needed once more. That moment had come. The Dominion had awoken it. And now the warship was sending a message across the stars. The Guardian stepped forward, his voice echoing through the ancient fortress. Status report. A holographic interface materialized before him, displaying the damage the galaxy had suffered in his absence. It was worse than he had expected. Entire civilizations had risen and fallen while he slept. The Dominion was just one of many would-be conquerors. But they were nothing compared to what he had fought before. No. The true enemy had not yet returned. But the signs were there. They were coming. The Guardian turned to the warship, watching as its dark hull loomed outside the station. Good, he muttered. It's time. The signal that shook the galaxy. Across the known universe, the signal spread. Encoded in a frequency no species had ever used, it bypassed every firewall, every security protocol. It did not ask permission to be heard, it forced itself into existence. The message was simple. The Great War was never over. Prepare. Governments collapsed into chaos. The Dominion panicked. The Galactic Council scrambled for answers. But there was one race, one long-lost legend, that understood. The humans. They had disappeared 50,000 years ago, erased from history by forces too terrible to name. And yet this warship, this Guardian, they were human. And now they had returned. The true enemy stirs. In the void, far beyond the reaches of the Dominion, something shifted. Something listened. The message had been heard. And it was not pleased. The void trembled. The signal had done more than just alert the galaxy. It had reached into the abyss, and something had answered. In the darkness between galaxies, where no light had touched for millions of years, an ancient intelligence stirred. It was not a species. It was not a fleet. It was hunger. It had waited since the last war. Since the humans had sealed it away at unimaginable cost. And now it knew. Humanity had returned. The Guardian's final stand begins. Inside the last black fortress, the Guardian stood before his warship. His hands clenched into fists, armored fingers curling against the weight of memory. The data streams flickered across the ancient station screens, and the horrifying truth became clear. The enemy was already moving. And this time, there was no fleet of human warships waiting to fight. No billions of soldiers standing ready to die for the cause. There was only one warship. And him. But he had expected this. The war had never ended, only paused. A holographic projection flickered to life before him. It was a log, recorded before he had been put to sleep. The face of another Guardian, long dead, stared back at him. If you are hearing this, then you already know. The warship was never meant to be a weapon of conquest. It was a warning, a line in the sand. The Guardian exhaled sharply. He knew what needed to be done. He turned toward the warship and spoke one final command. Reactivate the Legion. The ship's dark hull shuddered, and across the station, deep within its buried chambers, something woke up. Thousands of mechanical sarcophagi, hidden beneath layers of metal, began to open. Inside each lay a soldier, their bodies preserved in time. Not flesh and blood, not anymore. These were the legionnaires of the lost war. Enhanced beyond recognition. Augmented for one purpose. To fight until the end of time itself. One by one they rose. And the warship, silent for 50,000 years, came alive once more. The first battle of the new war. As the Dominion scrambled for power, as the Galactic Council collapsed in panic, as the signal spread across the stars. The true enemy arrived. A breach opened in space, a tear in reality itself. From it, the horrors of the old war descended. They had no names. No empire. Only consumption. The first wave struck a Dominion world, a planet with 10 billion souls. In a matter of hours it was gone. Erased. The news sent shockwaves across the galaxy. Nothing could fight them. Nothing, except the warship. Moved. Faster than any known vessel, it tore across the stars, heading straight for the breach. Inside, the Guardian stood at the helm, his legion behind him. A human army ready for war once more. The last message sent across the galaxy was simple. Humanity fights again. And with that, the warship vanished into battle. Fire. The war never ended. And now, the last Guardian has returned to finish what humanity started. Will he succeed? Or will the galaxy fall to the same fate as before? Subscribe to find out what happens next.